Lately, I do not play about my self-concept. Self-concept? I'm not gonna eat your meat. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, hey, I'm Lady and this is Living Life with Lady. I obviously haven't sat down for any long form YouTube videos in a while. Even doing the intro feels slightly awkward, and if I indulged in shame, I would claim to be ashamed right now, but I do not indulge, so I'm a little shy. But I hope this video is not awkward to watch. Obviously, if it is, I'm not gonna publish it. So I'm gonna see how it goes, and I hope you stay tuned. We're gonna be chatting about a few things that I know have improved the quality of my life, things that I feel I intend to keep in my life for a very, very long time to come, while I glam my face up in the most basic babe way ever. So I haven't been on YouTube. There's really no reason. I haven't been thinking of it that much. I have had plans to like vlog maybe or something, but I may just be too close to the camera. Obviously this shooting setting is very different than my usual, although do I even have a usual? I have a new spot to shoot for every other video. I haven't found the one for me, you know. I haven't really worked on finding the one. Just as long as we can get it going, we get it going. So in the last several months I have been doing, I'm looking for my brushes, that's why I'm just all over the place. Okay, so in the last few months I have been trying this thing called intermittent fasting. When I first heard of it, I think I was on YouTube on a lady's workouts channel. She was talking about how when she wanted to lose weight, or was she saying fat? I can't remember. But she had just had a baby and she had a really hard time losing fat, and she tried like loads of things, but the one thing that started working on top of working out was intermittent fasting. And I thought, that's interesting. And I thought, interesting. At the time I was on her channel for workouts and I came across that and I was like, wow, that's really interesting. So I tried it out. I was like, okay, of course already I don't like having breakfast quite early, if even at all. I'm looking at a mirror, I hope it's not disturbing. I don't eat breakfast quite frequently or even at all, and I don't have it anytime before 10 o'clock, right? And I sup out really early. I don't have my supper anytime. Well, then at the time I wouldn't have supper anytime after 9 p.m. So the latest would be around 8:30 in the evening. Yeah, so I thought, okay, this is really interesting, right? And when I heard that idea from her, I looked around on what it meant, and obviously, you know, Google, it's gonna give you like every single thing that you need to know and some more. I believe there's this website, this newsletter that I'm signed up with. I went on there and they were talking about intermittent fasting and the benefits, long-term benefits, and I was really interested. I was like, wow, this seems like the type of thing that would benefit me in 3 months, in 3 years, in 30 years, lest I live that long. And I was like, okay, I'm definitely starting. And I started with like 12 hours, which definitely wasn't hard. 12 hours was easy, and I think I did 12 hours for about a week, right? I did it for a week and I was like, this thing is easy. And then I went 14 hours and I did that for about 2 weeks, if not less. Oh, the beeping outside. So I was saying I did the 14-hour fast for about two weeks or less. After that I was like, nah, this is easy. And then I went 16 hours. So now I fast 16 plus hours per day. So that gives me an 8-hour eating window. So that's 6 to 8 hours depending on how long I fast, right? And I will say that the way in which I've never really had a problem with feeling good most of the time, but now I feel good literally like the majority of the time. And this is not to say there aren't any like wonky off days or whatever, but consistent fasting, I'm not going to speak specifically on intermittent fasting, I'm not qualified or any of that, but doing it for me has been a game changer. My mind has so much more clarity. When I wake up in the morning, it's not the hardest thing for me to get started with my day, because excuse the beeping outside, because I'm not really heavy from having a heavy meal the night before, so it's like it's a joy. So that's definitely one thing that has changed the quality of my life. And at any rate, I have every intention of trying out longer term fasts. For like, now I can go 24 hours and it's like it's nothing, but I would love to do like a 72-hour fast and just see how well my body would take that, and not just once off. Like I'd love to do it consistently and just see the benefits of that. So one is definitely consistent fasting. 2, here I've got self-concept. Oh baby, lately I do not play about my self-concept. I will not speak about myself negatively. I will not speak about anyone, if I can help it, in a very bad light and a shy light. No. When I think of me, when I think of talking about myself and things which interest me, people that interest me, I always strive to be of a high mind, you know what I mean? I always think the highest thoughts about myself and others. For as much as I can help it, I always speak the best thoughts or the best idea about myself and others. And this, for my confidence, I don't think I am like a typically unconfident, non-confident, shy person, despite the intro of this video. I think I do come across as very sure in myself, and I am. And lately I know for a fact that you couldn't get me, you know, shaky on who I think I am, who I know I am, things that I believe about myself to be true. I invest so much positivity towards my self-concept. I deliberately affirm goodness and positivity in my life every single day. And of course, this is not to say that every single day I'm just like 100%, but even in those moments where I catch myself wobbling and indulging in unnecessary self-pity, it's not hard for me to pull myself out of that, because the foundation is already set. The ideas of myself and the ones which I try to uphold about the world in general, they're top tier, you know. I already believe myself to be the best of the best. I believe people around me to be the best of the best in whatever they're doing, and whomever and whatever and whoever they're being. Yeah, so self-concept it's not touching the ground. It's not touching the ground, and it's a consistent practice. It's like consistently I read my affirmation cards, consistently I do the shadow work, prompt work on myself to figure out why I would not believe the best of the world around me, why I would not believe the best about myself. And often it is things which I take part in unnoticeably. So things that I may have grown up hearing around me, but I mean, I thought it's just normal. But as an adult, it's like I get to choose what makes my boat float, and it's the best. Next, I've got journaling. I've always been a dabbler, a believer in journaling. In the past, I think I've done it in such a Dear Diary way, but now it's nearly just revolutionary. I am not Dear Diary journaling anymore. No. I'm incorporating powerful techniques like gratitude listing in my journal practice, and it is, baby, when I tell you, I enjoy doing it so much more now because I include prompts, you know, things that make me feel excited to uncover myself, things that make me excited to uncover people around me, things around me. Am I even doing this makeup? Next, I've got how and what I eat. This very easily ties in with the first point of fasting, because fasting is a way in which we navigate food and all of that good stuff. How and what I eat is primarily just focused on when I am eating, how am I doing it? How am I doing it in a way that feels good, in a way that feels, not just feels, in a way that is good, in a way that helps me instead of just, and not just in a way that's usual, not in the typical way of doing things. Yes, that's what I mean to say. Not in the typical way of doing things. Am I doing it in a way that I should be doing it, you know, in a way that makes more sense for me now? Because I think, and this is not the best thing about how I have always been, but in the past I definitely see traces of me being an indulgent eater. I don't always recall stopping the feeding process, stopping eating, or knowing how I feel when I feel full, you know? So yeah, this is actually very interesting. I think this is another thing that would take a whole lot of uncovering, but I know that when I look back in the last few years, I can see that I would tend to eat in a way that just, I'd eat because it's eating, you know, and I'd eat whatever, like lots of fast food, because of convenience, obviously, and company, you know, the people you keep around you, whatever they prefer, you tend to prefer as well. And recently, I don't indulge, my angel. Recently, I am much more particular. I stopped eating meat. Whenever we do take out as like family or whatever, I'm still very particular about what I do get, you know. And I guess, well, with like the people around me, it does come across as a little offensive, and it's gonna take some getting used to. See, I'm not deliberately trying to be mean or deliberately trying to be bougie. It's just how I choose to live my life now. I'm not gonna eat your meat. I'm not gonna eat the meat. You know, it's got nothing to do with you personally. Trust me. The how is another thing. I think in my family, like when we do like gatherings and all of that, there's this thing you would see when you eat, you have your food, like your normal food and whatever, and you finish eating with like your Greek salads and all of that. But with my learnings and my discoveries, I see that it's actually supposed to be the other way around. You should allow the vegetables to come in first, to prime you, to allow the fibers to make your absorption, your gudla, to make the absorption of food absorb better, right? And it's like, for years and years, I would think you finish with vegetables, you finish with your salads and all of that, and it makes sense to start with your bread, when it's not even the case. In fact, the lady whom I heard this idea from was on my favorite channel on YouTube, and she was saying that even in restaurants, people tend to, you start with like your bread, they bring out the bread first and you'll have that with your butter, and that does a number on your glucose and your glycation processes. It does a number, and it seems so normal, you know, like especially if establishments that are supposed to specialize in food do it in that way. Of course you're gonna think it's okay for you to serve that way in your home, right? And I'm yet to experience a restaurant that brings out a salad first. I'm yet to experience a restaurant that serves food in in the way which I now prefer to eat, you know. Like, I think I'm gonna link that video down below because it's one of the best things I've watched in a while. I think one of the things that may make me feel a little strange sharing this way of life with people is my perception of how they will receive it and say things like, oh, it's not like you're gonna live forever, we're all gonna die. I don't care about dying, truly. It's not even my concern. It's about the quality of my life till that point, you know, till that change in experience. I have every intention of living a life that feels fulfilling, living in a body that feels free and peaceful, even for as long as I can, right? If there are things that I can do now to ensure that when I do choose to have children, if I do choose to have children, I can still play with them, you know, and not feel tired 2 minutes in. I think these are things that make so much sense to me when I look at things in that way. Not even just for that, but I love the idea of having a happy, safe, healthy body when I am old and I'm still able to do things for myself, you know, and not constantly be in pain and in aches and all of that. This is not lost to me because the environments in which I grew up, it was kind of normal to get to a certain point, certain age, and it's like, oh, it's normal for you to be tired consistently, for you to ache here and there, because also you're old now, you know. And I don't assume to know how my life is gonna look in 50 years. But if I'm still here, I want it to be a very rich, filling life, you know? That's definitely the thing for me. Just now I mentioned watching something on YouTube on my favorite channel, which then brings me to the last and I think the main thing here, which is consistent learning and relearning. There are so many ideas which I know I have come across before, but it is only when I come across them like the second or third time where I'm like, why am I not already living like this? Why am I not already doing better? Because the idea is not foreign to me, you know. It's like it's already existed in my awareness. I just need to consistently reinforce, which is why I love channels like Diary of a CEO. And there is so much recently about eating and how the main population does things and how it's probably not for the best, and the way in which we do things obviously does benefit people, you know, but it's to your disadvantage. So you may want to consider doing things a different way for your advantage and risk being the outcast in certain groups. You must be willing to forgo being the popular friend, the friend that everybody wants to chill with, because you just choose to do things differently. And it's not just about food on the channel. There's just like a wide coverage of things, which I think if you check it out, you will absolutely enjoy, if this is like your spec, obviously, and if it's not, that's also cool. Another channel that I really enjoy is by a man called Dan Koo. I think that's how you pronounce his surname. If not, sorry. His ideas are quite interesting. He knows how to verbalize. He knows how to, he makes ideas so much more easy to grasp, in the sense that just recently he was talking about the paradox of personal development, and instantly to me I thought this makes the most amount of sense. The thing about life is that if you are progressing from one point to another, there is something internal that is getting unlocked, right? And with the first thing I said here, which was like with fasting, I changed the way in which I eat, and the mental clarity internally, that mental shift was phenomenal. It's like for everything that changes inside, something externally is going to show, and vice versa. For everything that you wish and aim to achieve externally, there has to be something internally that does a shift. and there are definitely many more channels on here that cover these phenomenal ideas of looking things. One of my other favorites is Rich Roll. That's where I came across a very extraordinary idea of 40-day fasting for people with chronic ailments. It's very mind-blowing, and yeah, it's really interesting to me. I love learning consistently, and not just the academic way, but more in a way that is challenging to how I've always thought things are meant to be done. Like, I've always thought I need to have a meal once every single day, 3 times even, right? The idea that I don't need that and my body is going to do perfectly fine. The idea that my body is actually not even meant to be living in this climate, in this environment of constant change, of constant feeding and consumption. It's very interesting to me. And this is not just for like how my body looks or how it feels and all of those very surface level things. It's more about my mind and the impact on spirit. I don't think I will be finishing this face anytime soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, share it, subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.